Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Gulfstream today. Welcome to beautiful Gulfstream Park. Ron Nicoletti along with Acacia Courtney. It is the first day of fall. And for some reason, it's still 90 degrees out here.
It still feels pretty warm here in South Florida. But yes, happy fall, everybody. Fall is actually my favorite season.
Yeah, well, down here in Florida, you're not going to notice that until about right after Halloween. It starts to cool down a little bit.
But for you pumpkin spice lovers.
Right, pumpkin spice will be all over the place soon. We have a fast-made track, a firm serve course, and we got some betting strategies we want to show you this afternoon. We're going to start it off in the first race with our rolling super high fives. Any race with 7 runners or more, we have the rolling super high five offered. And also in race number 1, Keisha's going to have one of our 2 early, this one, the early pick 5. She'll have them a little later on as a 50-cent wager. The Rainbow 6 starts in race number 4 this afternoon, and we're about $51,000, and that's for sure going to skyrocket up. So it's starting to build once again. And as I mentioned, we end the day with our final pick 5 of the afternoon. And Acacia also will have a ticket to show you for that race. And what else? Did I forget anything now that I'm back?
I think you got it all.
I got it all, which is amazing for me to remember every single thing I'm supposed to do.
Well, it's early yet. So don't say anything just yet.
Yeah. I'm bragging way too early here. The first race this afternoon. Can we start?
Yes.
Okay. First race, 5 furlongs on the turf, claimers, fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up, non-winners of 2 in life, or 3-year-olds. $30,000 down to $25,000, and we have a clean slate in here, no scratches or jockey changes. And the horse I put on top of Acacia is the 1 Starship Jubilee, and I just want to go back and show you performance of this horse. Oh, wait,
pick 5
before we do that, let's show the pick 5 thing. I knew I was going to forget.
You see, you jinxed yourself.
I jinxed myself. There is the early pick 5 ticket.
Before we're going to talk about it, you mentioned Starship Jubilee. You were just so excited about this horse. This is one of the horses that I used in my early pick 5, though my single came in race number 3. That's going to be with the 4 Fist Bump, who's even money on the morning line. But I thought if you're looking for a single to keep your multi-race wagering affordable, this looks like the one to use. My long shot actually comes in race number 4 with Tavrida. We'll get onto that later. I thought a horse you have to throw on there to try and get a price in the 4th race, and then pretty deep in the final leg, but still affordable for $36.
Now I can show you the performance of number 1 Starship Jubilee. I bragged about myself, and 30 seconds later I screwed up, so it didn't take very long. So Starship Jubilee, and I think this is so important when you're running at 5 furlongs. You're going to see here, this one's going to have to really steady sharply early. We're going to show you this day, the number 4 horse in here, and you're going to see this horse as it comes out of the gate and just gets, you'll see right in there, it soon gets knocked back, and I just think that this is very important. Right there, has to put the brakes on and get shuffled back to next to last, and you can't do that with 5 furlongs, especially when there's a lot of speed up front. More importantly today, I think this horse is going to sit a nice second flight trip behind the speed. But anytime you have a problem like that in a 5 furlong sprint where the horse has got to do something, come from farther back than normal, I sort of put a line through it, give him one more chance. I think it's the 4th choice on the morning line, so a little bit of a price currently up there at 3-1, and I'm looking, and you have it right on top too.
I do. Well, I totally, excuse me, I totally agree with you. Had to steady there. You saw in the orange colors that the jockey actually had sat back in the saddle, pulled back on that horse. As you mentioned, with 5 furlongs, just there's no real coming back from that after having to steady in that spot. Finished pretty solidly prior to that one on a firm turf as well, beaten just by a length and a half to finish 4th, and won actually her very first start on the turf. And so I think the same thing, you put a line through that race, and I think coming from the rail, and we'll have some speed to run at today. Perfect stalking trip. The number 2-0 out, especially with the addition of blinkers, you know that filly's going to be on the front end, and so I think it might set up perfectly for Starship Jubilee.
And I've noticed the horse I have in second, Our Sweet Exchange, the morning line favorite in this race. You did not use it on your ticket.
Well, I didn't, and the reason being that I think that there's enough speed in here that this horse won't get the exact trip. Won nicely last time out, ahead of a couple others in this field, but I think it's all going to be on the trip in here, and that's why I used the number 1 Starship Jubilee on top. I put the number 5 Venezuelan Beauty on top, who cut back in distance last time out. Seems to show a little bit more speed going longer, but does have the ability to rate and can be taken just a little bit off, and that's what I really like. Cornelio Velasquez climbed aboard last time out. He's going to stay aboard this horse today. He also rode the number 4 Yes Ms. Ada in her most recent start. I think that these two, the 5 Venezuelan Beauty and Cornelio, fit well together. I like her going the 5 furlongs. I like the ability to sit just behind the speed.
Yeah, you mentioned 0 out, and where I threw in my ticket. This one leaves a little doubt as what a running tactic would be. She's going to just go to enter the front and try and steal it, try and take a gate to the wire. Running, for Orby Mirage is the trainer. I think this horse, if it can get get loose in the front end, which I don't see that happening. It's going to be tough. But we're both in agreement with number 1, Starship Jubilee. Let's flip the page and go to race number 2 this afternoon. This one is 6.5 furlongs. Claimers, fillies and mares, 3 and up, $6,250. Scratch the 3 in here, Falcon Harbor, and a jockey changes, a couple in here. On the 4, it's Sammy Camacho, and on the number 7, Carlos Hernandez. In just a little while, our track announcer Peter Aiello will come and update you on all the scratches you need in here. And once again, I've been gone for about a week, and Keisha's been copping me all along. Number 1, Coco's Cat on top of our ticket. I guess it's the logical choice, and it is the morning line favorite, too.
Well, you know, this race, and I think that the top 4 does seem to be a pretty logical one. I really liked the number 3, Falcon Harbor. I was really interested to see how she was going to run in after her win last time out with the addition of the blinkers. So she's a scratch. So I had always thought that the number 1, Coco's Cat, was going to be, especially on paper and based off her most recent couple performances, the one to beat. She's got a lot of speed. She's breaking from the rail. She's going to be on the front end in here. Edgar Zayas aboard once again. She finished second last time out, beaten about 2.5 lengths behind Falcon Harbor and ahead of Jill's Comprise, who's the number 2 here in this field. But 2 back, pretty much wired the field, going that 6.5 furlongs. She's gets a little bit less ground today, going the 6.5 once again. And I think that she's going to be able to go out to the front and not be caught.
I know we get in trouble agreeing with each other, but in this race, I think with the scratch of Falcon Harbor, it's the only logical place to go is with the 1, Coco's Cat, for all the reasons you mentioned. You mentioned Jill's Comprise, third behind Coco's Cat, and the horse that scratched Falcon Harbor last, stretches out, finished a late running 4th at 5.5 furlongs last time out. That was 2 starts back. And I just thought Peter Walder, the trainer, Miguel Vasquez handling the stretch out and distance today. The logical choice to be on the ticket along with the 6 Twinkling Time.
Well, this horse really seems to like a track with a bit of more moisture in it. That's where her last victory came. It was on a sealed track there. She's seen some improvement since moving over into the Peter Walder barn. She finished up pretty solidly in her last couple starts, I thought, and I think that she's eligible to improve. And in this field, for sure, she's going to sit behind the speed of Coco's Cat.
Well, scratch the 3, and those jockey changes on the 4 and the number 7, third race today. Back on the turf. Turf course is listed as firm. This is a 1-mile maiden claiming event. Fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upward, $20,000. Jockey change on the 7. Make the rider Carlos Hernandez. Scratch that main track only, number 8, Elizabeth's Vow. And the probable favorite line, if you're using your program right now, should read 4, 2, 7, and 6. So 4, 2, 7, and 6 as the morning line choices in that race. And I'm going to let you talk about your single in here for Fist Bump.
Well, it's funny to see that it's my single and a horse that you actually used on top as well. We normally don't agree like that, but this one really looks to be the logical 2 back. She was first off of about an 8-month layoff. She ran 5 furlongs and finished 4th. Stretched out going 2 turns to 7.5 furlongs on the turf last time at this level. She finished second, and I want to go back and show that race. She was beaten about 4.5 lengths. This was on September 2nd, and I think that she was off the pace. You see, she's the number 2 there that day. I think that the winner, Fazzle Dazzle, just had a lot less to do than Fist Bump here did. She was covered up. She had to go very wide. You see 5, 6 wide out, almost in the center of the track. So even to still manage to get second, having to go so wide on the turn like that. Luca Panici going to stay in the saddle. And then you see she's right there, and she's trying to get up for second. The winner, the 3, Fazzle Dazzle, as I said, just had a little bit less work to do. But I thought that Fist Bump ran very solidly. Again, going that 7.5 furlongs. She's going to have the mile, 2 turns once again. She's now third off the layoff. I think all the reasons are there.
Yeah, that's the key. Third off the layoff. The trainer was Larry Pilati. As you mentioned, Luca Panici being the saddle again. Was left too much to do, going 6 wide in on the turn there. So Fist Bump on the top of our tickets. Yeah, we go a little differently here for our second selections. I went with the 6, Ecliptical My Way. It was a claiming tag today, sliced in half, failing to show much against better. That was in back-to-back turf outings before the layoff. It's Mike Yates, got a leading rider, Tyler Gaffleone handling. I think this horse needed the class relief. I think it's in a good spot. I like Fist Bump, but I think this horse can be somewhere in the ticket, and you have it basically on your ticket too, somewhere in third instead of second.
For all of those reasons, that's a horse you have to use for sure with a bit of the drop there. not impressive race last time out, going the 7.5 at all. Yes, maybe the class drop will help her improve a bit. I put on the number 7, Motions First, who moves back over to the turf. First turf start was very disappointing, but that was it back in June at Tampa. She's now had a barn change, and she finished solidly last time out, going a mile, getting a little bit more distance on the dirt. She maybe started a bit slow, but then pushed up, and I liked the performance that she had towards the middle of the race, that she ended up getting the lead, that she showed some tenacity in that race. And I think over with the switch once again to the turf, and then put on the number 2, the Red Tour, who's 0 for 11, but does have the ability to finish on the board.
I got a long shot in here that I think you might want to take a second look at, and that's the one Miss Slick is dropping to this $20,000 level after returning from about a 16-month layoff to stalk the pace. Finished a distant 5th, but I think was a much-needed return at the $30,000 level, and I think she's, as I mentioned, worth a second look at a bit of a price in there. I think she can run well, and maybe not win it, but certainly be somewhere on the ticket at a square price of 15-1 on the morning line. So, horse, go back and look. And with that said, that's the first 3 races on the Thursday card. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to show you my Rainbow Six ticket and see if we can get this first day back, that I can get a winning ticket up there.
Next January, 12 horses, $1 million buy-in for a $12 million purse. It is the world's richest race. It is the Pegasus World Cup.
Welcome back to Gulfstream today, Ron. And in case you're here, we're looking at the Thursday card. We got a fast main track firm turf course. Got over $50,000 in our Rainbow Six. Let's quickly show you my ticket in here. And you will see it here, $48.60. And you'll see in race number 8, my single today. And I think this one was compromised. I'm going to show you about that. Was the number 2 horse, and they're winning for Sarah. And we'll talk about that horse as we go on. $48.60. Always trying to find that single to make the ticket more affordable and able to go deeper in some other legs.
Yeah, and I think that that's definitely a logical horse. I use that one as well. Show you my late pick 5 and my take on the later half of the card. But right here in race number 4, this is a really fascinating one. And I mentioned that my long shots in here, I didn't have the guts to put the number 6 Tavrida on top, because I think on paper especially, there's a couple other horses to beat. And you seem to agree with me in that, and that's the 1 and the 2. Started with the 1 Grand Cherry, who's actually even money on the morning line. One very solid race so far, and I really think that this horse she's going to improve next time out.
Yeah, I mean, she's stretching out to a mile after that, as you mentioned, that promising 6 furlong debut against state-bred maiden special weight competition. That was going 3/4 of a mile. The trainer is Victor Barboza Jr., and he's got Tyler Gaffleone atop this daughter of First Dude. So lots to like about the number 1 Grand Cherry, except the morning line on it. So you're going to have odds-on choice there. And maybe this is the way to go, where you go with a long shot like the 6 horse in here. But we both used the number 2 already packed on our ticket.
Already packed, a $110,000 daughter of More Than Ready. This one ran in the turf in her debut. She finished 7th, but she was only beaten by 2 3/4 lengths. She's trying the dirt for the first time today and stretching out in distance. The dam won 4 times going a route of ground. Maybe she just wants a little bit longer, and she has a race under her belt.
Yeah, she's certainly bred to respond favorably, both the surface and the distance. Trained by Dan Kabisky. He's been doing an excellent job all spring and summer long. So a logical contender on there is actually 3rd choice in the morning line. But I want to hear about this long shot, and that is the number 6, and that is Tavrida.
Well, this one is a 20-1 on the morning line, and I've just been waiting for this horse to be able to go a bit longer. She's a 2-year-old by Curlin. I'm going to give a sire stat on Curlin, just a little bit extra information for here. 21 for 107, about a 20% win average with 2-year-olds on a dirt route race in the past 5 years. So going a little bit longer for sure. The dam was stakes place. She won a route race going a mile. She mostly turf on the dam side of pedigree, but there is some distance in there as well. This horse has had 9 starts already. She's taking a big step up in class, and of course that's going to be the question mark here. I don't think it's the toughest field that she's running against here today in this maiden special weight, even though it is a $50,000 maiden special weight. I said the 1 and the 2 are the ones to beat indeed, but sometimes Gennady Georgchenko has a knack for surprising you at a price.
And you make a good point with the, Curlin being the sire, and what a great year he's having as a sire, Curlin. And just, the other horses that are favored in here, like the 1 and the 2, are going to have to prove they can run at this 1 mile distance. So not a bad spot to take a little bit of a shot at 20-1. And if this horse runs to its breathing, he certainly can win in there. So I like that selection of yours, the number 6 horse in here, Tavrita, in race number 4. Now we'll go to race number 5 this afternoon. And this one is a 1 mile turf event. Start an optional claimer 3 and up. Well, they can run for that optional claiming tag of $16,000. We're going to scratch the 4 in here metaphorically. One of the horses I did have on my ticket. And the main track only, Maritime Pulpit. This kicks off our late pick 5 this afternoon. I know you had a ticket, and you said that you used my single, which is amazing. You don't usually even think of using our singles in either race.
I did. I used your single. I didn't single her again, but we'll let you look at my ticket in here. I went 4 deep in this opening race. I think that race number 5 here is just, it's a tough one. You can make a case for pretty much any horse in this field in here. Really strong field at that. 2 deep in all of the middle legs, including the number 2, your single in race number 8, and then 3 deep in the final for $48.
Yeah, and very affordable, and it's a great bet, 50-cent wager. So that is the last 5 races on the card. Now, I did go, and I thought the logical choice in here, and I just went with my key race angle here to put the number 8 Diaz on top. He'll try and make it 4 in a row after getting up in the final jump to defeat next out winners. And you'll know when I talk about this first one, Amigo. I've been following that race, Dave Hoyt and Fire on Fire. So 3 horses in that race have come back to win their next start at a 4-starter. So turns out to be a key race. Sits on the outside. I think he carves out a nice trip. Edgar Zayas on fire lately, had a 5-win day last week, and just think that this horse is the logical choice. But you're absolutely right. You can make cases for other horses in this race.
Yeah, I really think that this is going to be the one to beat in here. Tammy Levy been going very well lately as well. And Amigo's been a real amigo to you, if you mentioned before. Graded stakes place horse. And this horse, Diaz, has won his last 3 races. Right. Even with that barn change, he's run at a mile and a 16th and then 2 at the mile. Sticking at the mile here once again. Won at this level with a big step up last time out. And I think he's going to be able to repeat that kind of performance. He's been in very, very good form lately and working really nicely over at Gulfstream Park West. So a lot to like about Diaz. I used the number 1, Thinkin' Quality, next in second, who got beat last time out by a couple other horses in this field. I know that that's going to be, yes, a question mark there. But it was going a mile and a 16th, had to go wide, didn't have the easiest of trips there. Eddie Castro stays aboard, and this horse had 3 wins prior to that, so the 3-win streak was just broken last time out. I think he might be able to bounce back and finish well again.
And Sandra Silfka, the trainer, having a really good meet. She's batting like at 36% with her limited amount of starters, so doing very good. But I like the 2 in here, and I'm glad you used this one on the ticket. 12-1 on the morning line. I think with the scratch and metaphorically, we're not going to get that. 2 Jacks Wild is turning back to a mile. Had a bit of an eventful outing against this familiar opposition. I want to show you this race. I'm going to pick it up and turn for home, but I want to mention here, this horse has lots of traffic, you'll see, and is the number 1 this day. Going up the backstretch, which I'm not showing you right now, this horse, you can go back and look, steady numerous times in that races, and just was bottled up, turning for home. And I thought here through the stretch where the horse finally got some clear run and came out, was able to rally, which I never thought this would happen, to be second. Now, we have race replays right here at beautiful Gulfstream Park. Go back and look at the early part of this race. Didn't want to show the whole race. He wasn't steady battle. He just kept looking for a spot, looking for a spot, looking for a spot. He turned for home. He was bottled up in traffic. And when he finally got a chance to run, I mean, of course, the horses in front of him might have been getting a little leg weary, but I thought that this horse ran very well, and I hope we get 12-1 on the morning line.
And he was 20-1 that day, and he managed to get up for second. He was beaten by Amberjack, who's the number 7 in this field, who we both used as well. This horse is on a 2-win streak, so a lot of horses coming off of winning streaks in this field, and that kind of goes back to my comment that you can make an argument for a lot of them in this field. 1 on the turf last time, 1 on the dirt, 2 back, and that's the number 7 Amberjack. So a pretty interesting race in here, a pretty exciting one to start the late pick 5.
Yeah, and I agree with you. You know, I like Diaz, but would I single Diaz? No, because of all the reasons you mentioned. And we'll see how this plays out here. And race number 6 this afternoon, going back to a fast main track, is a 6.5 furlong maiden claiming event for 2-year-olds. $25,000. Scratch the number 4 local legend. And number 6 campaign is gold. Looks like it's a logical choice for a first-time starter. The barn has been going great. This one is making its career debut for trainer Jose Pinchin. Series of solid half-mile workouts over the track showing, including that recent drill in 47 flats, which was the second best time of 22 horses at the distance. And I want to show you a stat when trainer Jose Pinchin hooks up with jockey Cornelio Velasquez in there. This year in 2016, he's 11 for 27. That's 41%. Positive ROI, $2.20. And this year, and I think that's a really positive. That he's riding one of the Cadillacs that we have in here in the summer. So I thought that the ROI would be lower this year, but I think that's a stat I just wanted to point out on this first-time starter. Campaign is gold.
Yeah, absolutely. They have, as you mentioned, Florida Superstar 3 rules getting ready for next week's Florida Sire Stakes. And I think that this is a nice 2-year-old to keep an eye on in this race here. And as you mentioned, that work tab is definitely appealing. We both went with the number 1 Cottonall from the rail, Terry Pompey, the trainer. And this horse has a very consistent work tab coming in as well. Strong 3 furlong work right before this, and a couple of 4 furlong drills prior to that, and it looks like he's going to be pretty sharp. Has the rail, which is always interesting for a first start.
Yeah, and it has the rail, and it's always, I always have this problem with type of horses like this. You mentioned the workout pattern. There's 12 works. This horse has been working since mid-May or late May or something like that, and I always question why. Why the horse didn't run it? Maybe it just didn't work out. But you don't see that many breaks in the workout pattern, so certainly it's going to be legged up for this performance. But you mentioned got to use the rail in there, and once again stamp the ticket with the number 8 and 3rd were exactly the same. And this one is Vivid Image, who was a solid second going 5 furlongs on August 19th, is turning back, set the pace, faded through the lane, finished a distant 5th. That was going 7/8, and this one's going to sit off the pace today with Luca Panici. I don't know if this horse should have gone up and challenged for the lead last time out.
Well, that's interesting. This is definitely the most experienced horse in this field. Has 4 starts already. Have to stakes place Rasta Rant, same jockey trainer combination. We've seen Rasta Rant running strongly down here in South Florida. And yes, maybe should have gone a little bit more forwardly last time. Ended up fading a lot, and that's a big question mark for me as to what happened in that performance. But that was going 7 furlongs, doing the 6.5 today. As I said, the most experience certainly coming in, and I think it's definitely a horse that you have to take a second look at, because often with these 2-year-olds, especially later on in the year, the ones with experience do sometimes have a bit of an edge. But this horse does have a lot of questions left about him.
Yeah, I mean, and then both of us put it in 3rd, so we're trying to tell you something there. We don't know if he'll be on the top of the ticket. With that said, you can go right to the window and bet it all, because we can't lose now the way I've been going. When I say a horse can't run, they run fantastic. So race number 7, 5 furlongs on the turf. Claim is fillies and mares, 3 and up, non-winners of 2 in life, $8,000. Jockey change on the number 9. Make the rider Lane Luzzy. Also scratch that main track only in here. And the corrected morning line selections in here should read 7, 5, 3, and 6 in this race.
Yes, and the number 7 Revolver Sessions is where you started. I tried to beat this horse. I just think that she usually has some speed. She was taken off the pace last time out. I just think that she's had a lot of excuses for not being able to get to the winner's circle. I went with the number 6, Will Be Magical on top, who's cutting back in distance, moved back over to the turf last time out. That was at 1 1/16. That was against $16,000 non-winners of 2. So dropping in class and cutting back in distance. Had added the blinkers last time. It was eased last time, basically. So has that turf start under her belt once again. What really appealed to me is that she's been working so nicely to come back. I think that the drop in class and the cutback in distance, Stanley Gold, Edgar Zayas, this one might be a tough one at a bit of a price.
Yeah, and I'll play devil's advocate in here a little bit. 0 for 20, Stanley Gold with her turf sprint is not really his game, but that can change. And, Stanley in excellent turf condition. I'll tell you why I do like the 7 Revolver Sessions. Dropping a peg on the claiming scale after the pair 4th place finishes against $10,000 2 lifetime claims. claimers, sort of a lateral move. The owner-trainer, Wesley Ward, Cornelio Velasquez atop. This one, I think, on paper, is the best stalker in a race stocked with a lot of speed merchants. So I just thought this one was going to sit the trip. We were talking earlier today. Wesley Ward has just been killing me at this meeting this year. You know, he's only won a couple of races. You know, usually Wesley Ward's a given when you see, a furlong turf sprint. But this horse, I just thought on the trip I would put it on top, and actually he's the morning line favorite. So it's no great shakes in there. Now, you used a 3 in second, and that is Dolce Surprise.
Well, this one has some speed as well. And why I don't like Revolver Sessions, more than the fact that Wesley Ward has not been having the best meet in South Florida, is that two back he said, well, finished fourth, beaten just by 3/4 of a length behind 2 next out winners. Well, Love Flute was the winner of that. Yes, she went on to win her next, but then Love Flute performed terribly in her next 2 starts. Same thing with Perfect Trace. She won next time out, but then performed terribly right after that. So I don't know if it's really a key race, maybe a key race for the next out. Now, Revolver Sessions came back, was beaten by 4 1/4 lengths last time out. Again, it was just kind of like she flattened out a bit with showing a bit of early pace. Maybe she can stalk. The horse that'll be on the front end is the number 3, Dolce Surprise. And this one finished ahead of 2 horses that ran on Sunday, Proud Mary Strikes and Julietta Q. Julietta Q actually came back and won the last race on Sunday. Proud Mary Strikes ran pretty solidly as well. So this horse, I think, is one that you need to use based on the fact that she's going to be the one on the front end. And if she can end up getting caught.
Well, I don't know. Maybe number 5, Quick Avalanche, will have something to say about that. Is dropping a notch, opening that early 2-length lead before settling for second. It was a 10K condition claimer at the distance. The daughter of Get Rich Quick, sent off at 32-1 last time out. Got front-running John Cruz doling out her speed this afternoon. If you watch all John Cruz's races, he loves to go to the front. So I'm thinking this horse, and going back to why I put Revolver Sessions on top, I thought maybe the 5 and the 3 would duel each other into submission and set up for a horse that might come off the pace. But all these 5 furlong turf races are all pace dependent.
Absolutely. Sometimes you just end up being a victim to what's happening in front of you.
Well, let's go to race number 8 this afternoon, and this one is a 6 1/2 furlongs allowance. Optional claimer, fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up, or an optional claiming price of $62,500. And if you remember my Rainbow Six ticket a little later on, this is the horse I singled, and it was number 2, Winning for Sarah, who's stretching out to 6 1/2 furlongs. 7 previous races at this distance with the 3 wins in 2 seconds. She had it steady sharply soon after leaving. I want to show you this, just the start of this race, and gets shuffled back. And I just think you'll watch this race. She's the number 7 in here, and you'll just see gets shuffled back as it happens, as they're going up. And there you see just gets shuffled back. Now, the point I want to make is this horse now is shuffled back to last. The horse that wins the race in their Cult Classic runs a really strong race and cuts out the half mile in 44 4. And Winning for Sarah definitely was compromised, and I think this is a logical spot. I think this horse is the only one that really deserves the $62,500 tag, at least in my estimation. And he's the only 9-time winner in the field, so he knows his way to the winner's circle.
Yeah, she does indeed. The 6-year-old mare, she's 37 starts, 9 wins, 7 seconds, and 5 thirds. And you see, beat by 7 3/4 lengths last time out. Well, Cult Classic won by 5, so it's not even really that much, especially given all of the things that she had to overcome, as you mentioned, being compromised and having to steady. Some multiple stakes place horse already. I think that she's definitely one you have to use in this spot. The horse that I put in second is Sweetwater, who's, yes, stepping up a little bit. Has some speed, has some tactical speed as well. Won impressively last time out on a good track, going 6 furlongs. Couple starts back, one at the 6 1/2 in Optional Claiming Company, and has been just steadily improving, steadily backing up those performances.
He loves the distance. 3 starts at the distance, 2 wins and a second, trained by Safi Joseph Jr. So Tyler Gaffleone, a leading rider in the saddle. So lots to like about Sweetwater. And when I originally put my ticket together, I did have the 2 and 6, and it just turned out to be too much money for me to put up on the air. So I actually backed off and singled the 2 in the air. I think it's the logical choice. Now, we both used the number 5 horse, Dogwood Trail, in third, who's hoping to recapture some form she displayed back, finishing second back back on July 31st.
Well, she definitely has some backlash in here, and she's got a lot of early speed as well. She was off the pace and rated last time out. It seems like that experiment didn't really work out so well. I don't know if it was a planned one or not. She was beaten by more than 11 lengths in that same race that Cult Classic won that we were just talking about. But prior to that, had shown a bit more early speed, was game at the start, and ended up finishing that good second, as you mentioned, just beaten by a length and a half. Luca Panici going to be in the saddle once again. And I think that she's a pretty strong one.
Well, you know, Dogwood Trail, if you go back, this one certainly likes a fast trap. Does not run well on a wet track, and I think that might be the reason that this horse didn't run as well as expected last time out. Still think winning for Sarah is definitely the one to beat in race number 8. Let's flip the page, go to our last race this afternoon. Race number 9, 7 1/2 furlongs on the turf. Claimers, fillies and mares, 3 and up, non-winners of 3 in life or 3-year-olds. Scratch the number 4 horse in here and scratch the number 7, China Bella, who was my long shot today, but we'll wait for another day. And we both went with number 11, Flickering, on top of our ticket.
Well, this one's won her last 2. She won very impressively last time out with the favorite, pulled away to win by 5.5, and that was when stretching out to the 2 turns, going 7.5, and I think she can repeat that kind of performance.
I want to show you, I want to show you a stat. Now, this in the Angel Rodriguez Bond, 5 years. First start after the claim on the turf. A very limited sampling in here, but I just thought it was good because this Bond usually doesn't claim turf horses in here. 2 for 7, 29%. 43% in the money with only $1.42 ROI. The owner being Frank Calabrese, everything he sends to the track, they bet down the odds on. So, you know, $1.42 is not as bad as it might sound on paper. So I just thought that Flickering was the logical choice in there. You know what? The only 3-time winner in the field. The 3-year-old fits the condition. 6 starts, 3 wins. Everybody else searching for their 3rd career victory.
She has a little bit of that edge there. One who is searching for the 3rd career victory is the number 8, Rara, who's dropping a bit in class. Want to go back and show her most recent start quickly. This one was when she finished 2nd behind a nice runner named ZR Destiny, who was just too much horse that day. The 5 is Rara here in this performance. That's on July 30th. She's coming in a bit of a fresh horse today. Looks like she's in a really good spot. ZR Destiny is on the outside, the number 1, as I mentioned, just too much horse to deal with that day. And Rara was drifting a bit too in the stretch, a little bit further out, and finished 2nd, finished ahead of Susie's Pride of Paris, who came on to win next time out. But Edgar Zayas is going to climb aboard Rara, notable jockey change there, and I think that she's one to watch.
I closed it out with the 3 Storm and Charlotte Show to you. This one is back on the turf, returned from about a 3-month layoff, finished a distant 3rd, but that was a race move from 2 turns on the grass to sprinting on the main track. So put a line through that. This daughter of Bwana Charlie, 6 starts, 2 wins, and a 2nd, 3 for 6 in the money at this distance on the turf. So horse that certainly had a legitimate excuse last time out, and that is how we see the card. I got through the first day with only 1 mistake. That's pretty good for me.
Yeah, we're starting out all right. Let's see if we can keep it going.
What do I love about horse racing? Everything.